Hello, I'm Shelley Stern-Grach with Microsoft, and welcome to Civic Chat, Networking Our Neighborhoods. You can follow us on meetadvisors.com. Our guest today is Gloria Castillo from Chicago United. Gloria, it is great to have you here today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. So tell us a little bit more about Chicago United.
Well, Chicago United is an organization whose historic mission is to advance parity of economic opportunity for people of color in Chicago and in the Chicago region.
That's terrific. So tell us a little bit more about how Chicago United is really connected to our neighborhoods.
Well, the way that we operate as a business membership organization is we focus on three pillars of advancement. So multiracial leadership on boards of directors, multiracial leadership in the talent pipeline up into leadership in corporate Chicago, and supplier diversity, ensuring that we've connected local minority businesses to large corporations and creating those opportunities. And so when I think about the way our work connects to Chicago's neighborhoods, ensuring that corporations have great hiring practices, great talent development practices, that allows opportunity for people from all across Chicago. But what we know is that very often, as much as we want to be inclusive, it takes great intentionality to achieve that. So what we do is we actually help corporations with their internal policies by providing toolkits, by helping them understand kind of the leading practices across the country, and we serve as a thought leader with our corporate members. So we affect the employment opportunities of people of color all across the city by working with the corporations to make sure that those doors are open.
That's terrific. So let's follow that track a little bit on the pipeline issue. So much today in Chicago is focused on our youth and our young people and giving them the exposure. You talked about intentionality. Exposure is a big piece of that, and where the opportunities are. How do you layer in? How do you find the people for the pipeline?
You know, where we play is really on who's employed with you today, and are you maximizing the potential of the individuals that you employ today?
Oh, terrific. Okay.
So there are a lot of organizations that are working on that very entry point to the pipeline, but for us, we say, look at the people you've hired. You've hired them because you believe they can be successful. How do we help you make sure that they're successful? Because for corporations, retention is so critical. That's how you are able to advance your own aspirations. But the people who are working for you already have aspirations. And so where we play is not so much trying to bring them into the pipeline, but saying, you've got people here, how do we make sure that they are fully engaged? How do we make sure that the development opportunities are there? Are they getting the rotational assignments? Do they know how to interact with those opportunities that take them to senior leadership?
So it's really maximizing potential is really what you're talking about, both for the organization as well as the individual.
Absolutely. And we do that not only in the talent side, but we do that on the minority business side as well.
Tell me more about that, because I'm on the board of the Women's Business Development Center, and I know you do work with them. So let's talk about supplier diversity and how to increase that in Chicago.
Absolutely. Well, Chicago has a great deal of potential that we haven't realized in many ways. In Chicago, a lot of corporations think of minority business and women-owned businesses as micro business. But we actually have a good base of companies that are in that $25 million, $30 million range that should be operating at $150 million, $300 million. So what we need to do is focus on creating strategic partnerships between Chicago's corporations and Chicago's minority-owned businesses. In moving from a supplier diversity model to a supplier development model, which has been so successful in cities like Detroit, in cities like LA, where they ensure that when they think about minority businesses and women-owned businesses, they think about local minority businesses and local women-owned businesses. And from that perspective, we can actually create more jobs in Chicago. We can create greater economic vitality if we create greater cohesion between Chicago's corporations and our women and minority-owned business communities.
That's terrific. So what might be an example of something that a corporate employer might be able to do with Chicago United?
So one of the things that they could do is they could commit to our Five Forward initiative.
Forward?
Five Forward.
Okay.
So we gain CEO level commitment to select 5 local minority businesses to do business with for a period of 5 years so that they can build scale and create jobs in communities of color. That has a kind of activism to it that helps not only the communities, our neighborhoods, but actually helps the corporations reach their diversity aspirations. And what we know is from our research during the economic downturn, we measured the success of Five Forward from 2009 to 2011. Not great business years.
Right.
Our minority businesses in that program grew on average 22%.
So they outpaced.
They outpaced, and they created about 3,100 jobs during that period. And at a time when we were losing jobs, it was a great example of what focus and intentionality can
really do. So we're seeing some great economic development in some of our neighborhoods. You know, Whole Foods is building large scale in Inglewood. Is that an example of where Chicago United might be getting engaged?
That's not a particular place that we would be engaged.
All right.
But where we would be engaged is you look at a company like Cedar Concepts, African-American woman-owned business, just built a chemical manufacturing facility on the near southwest side. Where we would play is making sure that Chicago's corporations know that there is a strong, viable business that's ready to have a partnership here in Chicago.
Excellent. So let's do a retake on that as opposed to saying that's not where we're engaged. Just say one great example where we get engaged in our neighborhoods, and then just give us the first sentence or two on the example you just gave me.
Okay. One great example of where we are engaged is identifying a company like Cedar Concepts, which is the first African-American woman-owned chemical manufacturing business in the country.
That's fabulous. So if I'm a corporation or if I am a woman or minority business, how do I get in touch with Chicago United?
Chicago United can be reached at our website, chicago-united.org, and we are very welcoming of new corporate members, new minority business members, and we look to activate those.
Gloria, thank you so much for coming today. This is a fascinating piece of how to expand the impact in our neighborhoods and the partnerships between corporations and minority and women businesses. Thank you so much for the great work that you're doing.
Thanks for having me here.
My pleasure. Thank you.